Welcome to episode 51 of the Sisters in Service podcast. I am your host, Kat Corchado. My guest today is Monica Fullerton. She is the CEO and founder of Spousely. She was also named a Trailblazer in Tech by Military Spouse magazine. She was also mentioned in Forbes Next 1000 list and recently named on the Mighty 25 list as one of the most influential leaders supporting the military community. Monica is also a mom of twins, and she's also an Air Force spouse. So listen as we talk about her journey, getting Spousely off the ground, and all the things that come with starting a business. Hope you enjoy. Welcome to another episode of Sisters in Service. I am Kat Corchado, and today on my show, we have Monica Fullerton. Now, if you don't know who she is, you should, especially if you're associated in any way, shape, or form with the military. She's going to be talking about her amazing business called Spousely. And she's also been named a Trailblazer in Tech by Military Spouse magazine, Forbes Next 1000 list, and recently just named on the Mighty 25 list. So Monica, welcome to Sisters in Service. I'm so glad to have you.
Hey, Kat, thank you so much for having me.
You look too young to be this. Just, I'm like, she's you guys can't see her. She's absolutely gorgeous. And I'm like, what? When did you start this? When you were 12? I'm like,
oh my gosh, I wish. Then I would be over the hurdles of the startup phase at this point. No, I'm 31.
Oh, wow. You're gorgeous. So tell me a little bit. So were you affiliated with the military at any point prior to becoming a military spouse?
I was not. So military life is all new to me. I obviously, come from a family that has just been huge supporters and just the patriotic family. But yeah, nobody on my side, but my husband's side, they all were part of the military.
So tell me what your expectations were, or did you have any? Did your husband kind of prepare you, or he's, it's like, hey, let's get married. You say, okay. And then you're like, holy crap, what did I just get myself into?
Yeah. So a quick backstory. My husband and I were both from a small town in Ohio. We actually are high school sweethearts. Well, kind of middle school sweethearts, but that sounds really weird at this point. So young, as much as you can be, right? At a young age, riding bikes together, going to different events. But anyways, so we never imagined in a million years to be together. We both went our separate ways in college. He went out to school in Colorado. I went to school in South Florida. I had very big hopes and dreams of becoming the next Oprah. I just loved the power of communication. To me, it's just always been such a great way to help others, to give people a platform to share their stories. And when I moved to South Florida, I never had plans of leaving South Florida. And so I ended up getting back together with my high school sweetheart. And at that time, he was getting ready to commission into the Air Force. And so it was a really hard and scary decision that I had to make. I had set myself up for everything I wanted in terms of being in the location, going through broadcasting and communications, doing my master's, and just my whole checklist was all there. And so in that moment, I really had to decide, is this the lifestyle that I want to live? Because we know what that's like and we know what that entails. And here I am. I decided to live that lifestyle. So there really wasn't much prepping in it. I just knew I was going to have to pivot. And that's what I feel like we're all good at, right? Pivoting.
That's one hell of a pivot. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yeah. It was definitely a pivot. And, it's a scary decision because especially as a military spouse, we're moving around every 2 to 3 years. We're following our loved one. We are there to hold down the fort. We're dealing with deployments and, the list goes on. So it's a lot. It's a lot on your plate as a military spouse. That's for sure.
Absolutely. I truly believe that no matter if you have your spouse is in or, both parents are in, that whomever the military member is, the entire family serves because, you're you're all in the military.
Yep.
And my mom was a military spouse. And, way back in the day when there just wasn't a whole lot for military spouses to do. They weren't doing businesses. They were just, helping each other as much as they could. What do you find what was the hardest thing for you to get used to being a military spouse?
Yeah, I would say my personal biggest challenge has been I'm just such a career-driven person. I was very lucky to have a full-time corporate career that was remote and was moving around with us, making the salary I always wanted to make. But I was also lacking being a part of the military community. I was missing out on spouse events. I was missing out on having this community by my side that just truly gets it. And it was because I wasn't able to attend certain things. Sometimes they were on base at noon. I mean, I can't join at noon. I'm working or, things like that. And it was just always hard to kind of piece it together. But I knew I really wanted to be, around my fellow military spouses because we truly do support one another, whether it's in life or in business. And that's kind of where my personal struggle has been. I'm kind of on the other side of it. And I started getting to know my military spouse friends better and seeing that not all of them were able to kind of piece that puzzle together. They weren't, able to find a career that could move around. They were lacking doing something that they loved while living the military life. And that's kind of where it's led me today. And why I started Spousely was just through just all of the inspiration of the creativity, the grit, the strength, and seeing what owning your own business can do, especially as a spouse.
I think it's imperative that military spouses connect with each other because it's a lonely road if you don't know anybody. And sometimes it can't be helped because you said you were working. You can't just say, I'm going to a luncheon. And they're like, they're looking at their watch. Going, when are you coming back? And I noticed that my mom had to stay connected, but back then it was more of a, my mom wasn't working outside of the home, but she still stayed connected. And I think it's even more so important now because of everything that's happened and is happening in the military. So let's move forward. Your military spouse. When did the idea of Spousely come to you? Like, where were you? What were you doing? Was it one of those things? Oh, I had a dream, or you were doing something?
Story. It's a good story. I was actually on my way to dinner with a few other fellow military spouses. We were going to a spouse event. It was an evening spouse event. It was a dinner, so I was able to attend. And I just remember being in the car, there was like 5 of us in the car, and I was like, you're so talented. You make coffee. You're a private investigator. You're a photographer. And just in that moment, it just felt so empowering to be just in a car filled with other military spouses and so much talent. And they hadn't quite figured out, like I mentioned before, how to piece that together. They were talented. They had these amazing, hobbies, and they were missing a piece of that. How can I bring it to life? How can I actually provide, some extra income opportunities for my family? And I was just like, that's so spousely of you to them. Because I've always been the spouse that, I feel like I'm not very good at baking the perfect cake or remembering a birthday or, just things that are some other people are just so great at. And those are the things that keep us pushing forward. And like you said, connecting us, because that connection is so powerful and it's so meaningful. And so that's where the idea of Spousely was born, just in that car ride, being empowered by just the talent within that car alone, that I knew the community as a whole was filled with so much talent.
I love that. I think sometimes too that civilians especially think when you say, oh, I'm a military spouse, they think that's all you do.
Yes.
And military spouses now are so multifaceted. They, like, look at you, military spouse, you've got this business, you're on the go. You've got so many things going on that I think it's important for people to understand that being a military spouse is difficult.
Yep.
And especially if your spouse deploys, you're carrying on, you're carrying that torch and taking care of everything here. And so people always ask me though, because being in the Air Force, they said, well, what's harder, being a military spouse or a vet or a military member? And I said, they're both difficult. They're just difficult in different ways.
Yes, it's a great way to explain it, because my husband talks about that all the time. My husband's active duty Air Force, and people ask him all the time about like how's it all going? I know your wife is doing a lot of different things, and you guys have twins, and how are you guys juggling it? And we always just say we make it work. We come together. He has his things, I have my things. He'll be gone. He'll be TDY. I'll be like figuring things out here at the house with the twins. And it's just an ongoing, battle of just trying to figure out how to make it work. But I will say, I never let that hold me back from making it work.
You find a way. Every day, like people always ask me, they're like, how do you do all of this? And I said, I don't know. Because if I thought about it, I'd be like, I shouldn't be doing all of this stuff.
Yeah,
you just make it work. Right. You just make it work. So you have this idea of Spousely. Did you think this was going to be kind of a side hustle? Did you expect it to be? I mean, no one starts a business going, I just want to make this much money.
Yeah.
But sometimes you don't know if your idea is going to float. You know what I mean? So when you first thought of Spousely, did you think long-term, 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road? Or did you think, oh, maybe let me start small and then see what happens?
Yeah. And that's such a great question, because, I think it depends on everybody's situation. People might have the mindset of, this is great, I would love to just do it as a side business. And then there's people like myself, where I feel like I was born an entrepreneur. It's something that is just in my blood. I've been very passionate about being able to help others, but finding ways to do it built on the foundation of what I believe and how I want to structure it. And so I did, for the first year of Spousely, I was still working full time. So I was trying to juggle both. And I quickly learned that something had to give. I was spreading myself too thin. And in that moment, I knew I had to let go of the security, because the passion has always been missing for me. Because like I said, I had to pivot. I was very lucky to have a corporate career, but it wasn't something that I was truly passionate about. And so when I started to see that Spousely was making an impact, that it was viable, it was powerful, people wanted to be a part of it, I knew that was going to be the right decision, was just to let go of the security and go with, the real passion, and turning it into something that can continue to be stable and viable.
Right. What are some of the pitfalls that you've come across being in business? For the military spouses that will be listening.
Yep.
What kind of advice would you give them, if they're thinking, oh, I think I have this great idea, but they're kind of scared to move forward? What would you tell them?
Yeah. So the best advice that I can give, and I say it over and over again, is you cannot hold yourself back. We are great at talking ourselves out of things. It can be scary. It can seem challenging. How are you going to make it work? But if you take that first step into doing what it is you might want to do, you're already so many more steps ahead than you think by just taking that initial jump. And I'm actually reading a book right now. I know people can't see it, but it's called Jump by Kim Perrell. She is a huge inspiration of mine. She's built very successful businesses, all from nothing, by just believing in herself and finding the right support. But it's all about taking that first jump. So I definitely recommend that, because it highlights and it goes over, the challenges that you're going to face. And I always say, growth begins when comfort ends. And that is very, very powerful.
I love that.
And I actually just read in the book, you have to get comfortable with getting uncomfortable.
Yes.
And that is what allows, us to take that first step and continue pushing forward.
And I think it's something as simple as just not quitting, just keep moving forward. And sometimes there's going to come a time during your business, it could be in the beginning, could be in the middle. You just never know what's going to happen when you feel like nothing's happening. Yeah. And I just had this happen with my podcast. I was like, what's going on? And I was like, maybe I'm not cut out for this. And then I realized to just be still. Maybe this is a time for me to reflect, and to plan. Just like
Yes.
when your body is, when you work out and you start to lose weight and you're losing all the, these pounds, and all of a sudden you stop losing weight. That's not the time to quit. That's your body resting. That's your time for your body to catch up to what's happening. So my advice, and no, I'm not as, how can I say, profitable as Monica is in her business.
No,
one thing that I have learned is just keep moving forward. Just keep doing those things because it's going to happen for you. So you launched Spousely and you're moving forward and it's got some steam. What point, and everyone comes across this, was there a time that you said, oh, I'm not really, is this going to work? Was there a time for you that happened? And here's why I'm saying this. People always talk about, and I mean specifically veterans. They say, oh, I got the military, made 6 figures. And they made it sound like they got out and the next day they were making 6 figures.
Right.
And so the expectation is you get out, you're going to make this money.
Yep.
And so I wanted to know this story. I want to know that time when, and maybe this didn't happen to you, but I'm like, when you had to make a decision between your business and eating peanut butter and jelly for a week, you know what I mean? That yes. decision. So was there a time when that happened for you during Spousely?
Yeah, I'm in it right now. Honestly, I am there. I am feeling it. I am in the thick of it. I am going through challenges. I am going through the wins. It's honestly an ongoing roller coaster. And I've learned that you just have to embrace it because you do hit those walls and you go through the challenges. I have scaled back. Everything I have and all the shiny things that people see, it's all from my hard work. It's all from my corporate career and things like that. So now that I am fully into growing Spousely, I've bootstrapped everything. I've paid, for everything on my own. It's something I'm very proud of. And that has meant that I've had to make sacrifices. I've had to scale back. We haven't been able to do certain things that we're used to doing. And that's fine. I'm okay with it. It feels really good to finally be in a place where I am actually pursuing my passion, because to me, that means so much more than any amount of money, any, material thing, anything that it is that we work so hard for. The power of community and just seeing messages from people on a daily basis of the way that Spousely is making a difference in their life, or somebody that just learned about the platform and they're so excited because, their mom was a military spouse and they didn't have something like this. Like, to me, that makes everything worth everything that I've had to kind of put behind to focus on entrepreneurship and taking that full leap.
And I think it's important too, that there are times when you don't want to quit. It's just one of those hard days.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you're in a meeting or someone calls you and you're talking and they'll say, by the way, I just listened to your podcast and I just want you to know, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, yes.
Yes. You get full body chills.
Yes, because you're reaching one person at a time. And I'm sure that with an operation as big as Spousely is, that when you get those little nuggets, they're so special to you.
Yes.
Because you just never know where they're going to come from. And you don't know who you're touching with it. You don't know the people that are, being fed by what you're doing through Spousely.
And, that's something really important that I do want to touch on, is people see the wins, they see the features, they see that Spousely's had the success, over a very short time, but what people don't see is the behind the scenes, and they don't see the tears. They don't see the stress. Like, I can tell you, I have an elephant literally sitting on my chest right now. And it's because I'm stressed. I have so much going on. We're getting ready to take Spousely to the next level. That means bringing on investors and legal and, just very heavy things that are very scary. And, I just posted about it on LinkedIn. You don't know what you don't know. And I think if more of us that are building from the ground up, our entrepreneurs are following our passion, if we can share more of those real stories along the way, we can help empower more people to keep pushing forward, because more than ever, there's everybody going through something that's very similar to someone else's journey. And I am not all about like, ooh, I'm going to write a book after I've made it and I feel successful and I've made this successful company. I think we need to start writing our book now, because we can help more people see while we're live in action of each phase.
Yeah, your journey is your book.
Yeah.
Each day, those ups and downs, those highs and lows, that's your book right there.
And we have to use our network. We have to use our social media. We have to use ways to leverage that, because there's so many people, like I just said, I feel like I'm silently, struggling, because people all see the shiny things, and I'm a real person. I'm going through it right now, just as someone else is going through it. And if we can be there to support one another and have another, shoulder to lean on, it feels so much better than trying to do it alone.
I totally agree with that. I also think that, when you said you don't know what you don't know, that's when you ask.
Yes.
How did you do this? How did you get over this hump?
Yep.
And if you don't ask, then the next phase is just, okay, I didn't get an answer, so I'm just going to quit. You just keep one baby step at a time, keep moving it forward, because you just never know what that next day is going to be. That could be the day.
Yes.
That everything just opens up and you're like, wow, I almost quit and I would have missed all of this.
But the biggest takeaway, you just nailed it, is you have to be willing to ask for help. And that's something I've struggled with pretty much the whole first year of Spousely. We're still less than 2 years old, and I'm still struggling with it, because it's very hard to ask for help, because sometimes we don't know what that help looks like. And if anybody's anything like me, like I get in my head of, okay, how am I going to ask that question to where I'm going to, find the right help and not waste somebody else's time? How am I going to actually figure out in my head what that help is? And you just kind of go back and forth, and it's always going to be a circle. But if you just put the feelers out there and you find ways to ask for help, you're not going to fail. You're going to receive great advice. You're going to, be able to further along, push where you're at.
And keep asking the question. I don't just ask once, because you want to know how the answer looks and feels for you and your business.
Correct.
So if you ask the same question to 3 or 4 different people, you might get 3 or 4 different answers. Yep. But a lot of business is about your gut instinct. What feels right for you?
That is such a great point and a very hot topic for me right now, because I feel like I'm in, like I said, the thick of something right now with, growth and all of that. I feel like I failed myself because I didn't go with my initial gut reaction. And that is a huge takeaway. Go with your gut. I feel like it just kind of sounds just so easy, but it really is true, because then you look back on something and you're like, man, I had that initial instinct. Why didn't I not listen? But you know what? We have to go through those lessons, right? So we have to see what the other side looks like. So I'm going through a lesson right now of not going with my gut on something. And I will tell you, I will never put myself in this situation again, because I don't like the feeling.
Yeah. Especially when you knew,
right.
And you went the opposite direction and you're like, why did I do that?
Yep.
And we've all done that. We've all done that. And, as you get older, you just start to think, my gut's telling me to do this. I'm going in this direction. So here's another question for you. At what point in time did you say that your business, Spousely, was going to be huge? When did that moment when you go, holy crap, this is going big?
So the moment that I started thinking big in terms of, okay, Spousely has to be a household name for it to truly work its magic, because the more that people know about Spousely, the more we can focus on putting funds in the pockets of our heroes. It's an amazing circle effect that, it's always going to directly impact our heroes. And so it's actually the first feedback that I received when I launched. We only had about 30 vendors, and we're around 400 now, and we're adding more on a weekly basis. And it was the first few vendors that have been a part of this journey from day one and continue to see the power of Spousely and the community that we're building. And in that moment of them just sending me great feedback and sharing with what Spousely means to them, I knew that we could help more people. We could help empower, especially more spouses, to see that they can do something they love while living the military life, to empower veterans to now have a community where they can help our community come together, whether they're active duty, whether they've, already have served, whether they're a Gold Star family. We just have this connection now where we can help one another at different stages, whether it's in life or business. And I just saw the power of it. Like it was actually really beautiful just to see how vendors were starting to help other vendors, how, people were coming to us at Spousely saying, we would love to feature you. We would love to share your story. And it's been validating. It's been validating to see that, this is so much bigger than just me and what I'm capable of, which is why I'm so passionate right now to find the right next help to take Spousely to the next level, because the more we can do that, the more we can make an impact.
Don't you wish all retail businesses did that? Would they?
Yeah. And
you know what I mean? Where
yeah.
It's not about the bottom line. It's about people helping other people.
Yes.
I mean, that's what it gets down to, basically.
I'm a big believer when you do good and you feel good, great things continue to happen. It's just, it is what it is. I feel like I talked about, I might be coming up on my last funds out of pocket and things like that. And it's scary. I'm so stressed over it. It's a scary feeling, but the work that we're doing at Spousely is so good that feeling of good and other people catching on to how they can be a part of helping our mission, it's all going to continue to fall into place.
Here's the biggest takeaway. You were right about your idea for Spousely. How does that feel?
How did it, I don't know. I don't want to get, I never like to think anything is too good. Like everything is too good to be true, right? I always kind of live by that, because you never want to, get too excited about something, because like I said, we are very much still in growth mode. But to know that, yes, this is my first time being an entrepreneur like this, that it was something that so many people can be a part of, it's a great feeling.
Absolutely. So we've been talking about Spousely, but we haven't talked about what Spousely is. So can you explain to our audience, what is Spousely? Who is Spousely for?
Yes, I like that. I like how we kept it at the end. So it made, it's the excitement. Everybody should be feeling really excited now. So Spousely is an online marketplace where you can shop a wide variety of products and services, all created by military and first responder families. I like to call it Etsy meets Angie's List, but now it's Angie's. Etsy meets Angie's List, but with a focus on shopping for social good and supporting our nation's heroes and their businesses. And like I mentioned before, for us, it's so much more than a marketplace. It's really empowering people to purchase with a purpose. And honestly, I get chills when I say that. I actually feel it brings tears to my eyes, because it's such a powerful phrase, right? Purchase with purpose. And it's something that can be simply done. And by supporting those that have supported us in so many ways, it's really taking that new layer of shopping small and adding the mission to giving back on it.
Absolutely. I think this is such a huge endeavor. And it's, of course, I love it because it involves military veterans, military spouses, anybody connected with the military. So Monica, how can people find Spousely?
Yeah, so you can head over to our online marketplace. That's where everything's at. You can discover thousands of products and services in one easy place at spousely.com. We just purchased spousely.com without the spouse-ly. So you can just type that in. Follow us on Instagram. We always are sharing our vendors' stories, their products, their services. It's just a great social media outlet for us to really bring everything to life that we're doing. Find us on LinkedIn and Pinterest, everywhere, social media, but check out spousely.com. Please consider spreading the word, helping us continue to grow, because like I said, the more that we continue to grow Spousely, the more we're making a direct impact on our heroes.
If someone is interested in being not featured, I don't know
Becoming
what you call
a vendor.
it. Becoming a vendor. Thank you. How would they contact you? How do they go about doing that?
Yeah. So to become a vendor, it's a very simple process. You can actually go on spousely.com and scroll towards the bottom. It says become a seller. You can click on that. It'll walk you through the whole sign up process. We verify all of our vendors through our partnership with GovX. So that confirms their military or first responder affiliation. Anyone can come on the platform to shop. No registration needed, no approvals or anything like that. And once they have been approved, we're with them every step of the way. We help them get their shop set up, answering questions. We're also launching Spousely University in a few weeks. That's going to be a really great tools and resource platform. We're not recreating the wheel. We're just partnering and bringing in sponsors that can help our vendors in different areas, such as business, legal, selling on Spousely, marketing. And it's going to be exciting. It's going to be powered by USAA. So we're very excited to have them, by our side. Everything that they're doing with small business insurance goes hand in hand with our community. That's
huge. That is huge. So I just want to say a huge congratulations to you for the idea. The best ideas are the ones that you're not trying to think about it. It just comes to you and you think, hey, what if, it's that
That's
what
so
if.
Spousely of you.
Yeah. Right.
Who would have known?
Who would have known? Monica, thank you so much for being on Sisters in Service. I always want to be respectful of not only women veterans and veterans in general, but also the military spouses and everyone that's affiliated with the military. And I think that military spouses are doing some amazing things, as Monica is doing, and to highlight that and say, because there are people who might listen and say, I did not know about this. Now, I don't know who doesn't know about Spousely, because everybody I know, and everyone that I know and know about Spousely. So maybe there's one person out there that doesn't.
I think it's all good. The more that we can continue to align, help each other, the better, right?
Exactly. I hope everyone got a chance to know more about Monica and more about Spousely. I will make sure to put in the show notes how you can contact Spousely, where to go, so you have no excuses. You can go there and have fun and just check it out. Monica, thank you so much for being on the show today. It's been such an honor to talk to you. And for everyone else, as always, please stay safe, take care of each other, and until next time.